Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel and Sony just announced the title of Venom 3. There's some deep-cut Easter eggs and connections. I know there's tons of questions about how they'll pay off the Venom symbiote post-credit scene in Spider-Man 4 in the new Tom Holland MCU Spider-Man trilogy. All the movies that are happening right now, both Spider-Man 4, Venom 3, all the related movies like Kraven the Hunter, everything is meant to eventually build up to big crossovers, Sinister Six crossovers, in Avengers 6 Secret Wars, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Speaking of Spider-Man crossovers in the multiverse, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, that movie is a huge part of all of this too. They'll incorporate some of those characters in live action using some cool twists during those Spider-Verse movies. But the new title for Venom 3 is Orwell, which first reference brings to mind is George Orwell, who wrote 1984 Animal Farm. Pretty much every kid of a certain age in America had to read Animal Farm during grade school. 1984 is all about totalitarianism, total control, pure power, propaganda machines, and it's been referenced in tons of pop culture, all kinds of media for many, many years. But I think the larger Easter egg for Orwell might actually be for the original Venom Lethal Protector Marvel comics that they based the character on originally in that first movie. Everything with the Life Foundation, the Carlton Drake character, Venom fighting the other symbiotes. The Orwell Taylor character is an ex-United States military general who creates an evil group, a team, called the Jury, appearing in the Lethal Protector storyline through the first couple of issues. Venom wound up killing one of his sons. He goes mad with grief, swears revenge on him, and steals Iron Man's armor technology. Yes, there are Iron Man connections because he also had a lot of Spider-Man crossovers too. He uses Iron Man's armors to upgrade his other sons, their friends, to specifically take out Venom as the team called the Jury. Like they're meant to be the judge, juries, and executioners of Venom. They fail hard, then they wind up going after Spider-Man instead to force him to help them. They start working with the Life Foundation, and after the police discover all the crazy stuff that they got up to, the illegal stuff trying to kill Venom, Orwell winds up being arrested, and that's pretty much the end of it. The last time he appeared in the comics was during the 90s, like that's how long ago it was. But that's where a lot of these stories that they based the Venom movies on are from. He bounced back and forth between the Venom comics and the Spider-Man comics, so Spider-Man wound up helping take him down just as much as Venom did. For those of you wondering if they're going to give Spider-Man the Venom symbiote during Secret Wars is a reference to the origin of the symbiote in the comics, just because there is that whole post-credit scene, like how are they going to deal with that? As far as I've heard, they're not going to use Secret Wars to do a comic book Easter egg. There might be some light references to it during that, but I believe they're going to pay off the symbiote during Tom Holland's next Spider-Man trilogy, the solo movies themselves, but not till the sequels like Spider-Man 5 or Spider-Man 6. They've already revealed a bunch of details about Spider-Man 4, and there doesn't sound like there's a lot of symbiote stuff going on during that. For the most part, it's happening during Marvel Phase 5, so it's part of the Dark Reign era when Kingpin becomes mayor of New York City, and the whole idea with Kingpin is that he takes a very anti-vigilante stance, so Spider-Man is trying to be friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, being a vigilante saving people in New York City, while the Kingpin is using all of his resources, like the law, all this above-board stuff, to stop people like Spider-Man, Daredevil, the Punisher, all the other good vigilantes from actually doing their jobs, so Kingpin can do all the shady stuff that he wants to. I do believe that Daredevil and Kingpin will have cameos in the movie. I know at least Daredevil will. I don't know how big Kingpin is going to be in, but they did say that what Kingpin is doing during Daredevil Born Again will be a big plot point during Spider-Man 4, even if Kingpin himself isn't going to be one of the main villains of Spider-Man 4. They haven't said who the main villain of Venom 3 is supposed to be yet, but they did have the big teaser for Toxin at the end of Venom Let There Be Carnage. The symbiote who's the child of Carnage winds up bonding with Detective Mulligan in the comics, and at the end of the movie, his eyes glowed, he started yelling about monsters and freaks.
Monsters.
They could always swerve on that if they wanted to go in a totally different direction, but there's a strong chance that he winds up being at least one of the villains in the movie, in addition to some new characters from the comics. Juno Temple was announced for the cast. She could wind up being a version of the Phage character from the Lethal Protector storyline. Even though there was a yellow symbiote during the first Venom movie that had died, I don't think they ever specifically called it Phage in the movie, so they could still use that character. Or they could just give her the Toxin symbiote, or they could make her a completely different character from the comics. They haven't said which other Sinister Six characters are going to cameo either, just because all this is taking place on the same Earth. If it wasn't clear, all the Sony Marvel movies, all these Spider-Man spin-off movies that they're doing, like they're doing all the Venom movies, they just did the Morbius movie, it's Morbin time. They're releasing the Kraven the Hunter movie later this year. I actually just did a trailer video from CinemaCon, so I'll post a link for that down in the description below and at the end of this, because it looks like it's going to be hardcore. It will be an R-rated movie. There's the Madam Web movie, there's that other Spider-Woman movie, there's just a lot of related movies that are all building up towards Sinister Six movies. That was the whole point of the Morbius post-credit scene, is letting you know that they were trying to build up to a Sinister Six movie where they would fight a version of Spider-Man, but they didn't say which version of Spider-Man.
Has to do with Spider-Man, I think. I'm still figuring this place out, but I think a bunch of guys like us should team up. Could do some good.
Right now, all the rumors are saying that it's going to be Andrew Garfield's version. I don't know how reliable those are because it's just a rumor, but there were so many Easter eggs for Venom and all the stuff that they're doing right now in the Sony Marvel movies back when they were doing the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man movies, and wondered if the Morbius movie is actually happening in Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man universe of movies. There are some Tobey Maguire Spider-Man references and Easter eggs in the trailer, like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man suit with the Tom Holland Mysterio plot points. The version of the Daily Bugle newspaper that Morbius is reading is the Tobey Maguire version with the Daily Bugle logos from his films. And even though the building looks a little bit different, the version of Oscorp is the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man version, and the Daily Bugle mentions the Rhino, the Black Cat characters, who were both characters in Amazing Spider-Man 2. If you don't remember, there were some deleted scenes with Felicia Hardy. She was eventually going to turn into a version of Black Cat. Like, they had a Felicia Hardy assistant at Oscorp, but she had not become Black Cat yet.
Harry? Get out! Get out!
That would have been a big Amazing Spider-Man 3 moment. So I will reference Amazing Spider-Man 3 because there were a lot of references to that during Spider-Man No Way Home, and it sounds like here during the Morbius trailer. If it's been a while since you've seen Amazing Spider-Man 2, during that movie, you might remember they reference Morbius and Venom specifically, along with a bunch of other teasers for other characters and things buried in Harry Osborn's Oscorp files. Like Zoom and Enhance here, they have a Morbius project that they were working on, they had a Venom project, so had they made Amazing Spider-Man 3 with Andrew Garfield, they would have given him the Venom symbiote during that movie, and he would have faced a version of the Sinister Six, as they teased in the post-credit scene. But we also would have seen a version of Black Cat show up, and then obviously they were trying to set up a whole bunch of other spin-off movies too. The funny thing about that, a lot of people will remember this, it wasn't that long ago. It seems like it was a long time ago, but it wasn't. That's how many times they've rebooted Spider-Man. During Amazing Spider-Man 2, there were all kinds of references to all the stuff that you see happening right now in the current movies. During Spider-Man No Way Home, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man even said he wanted to fight an alien after they started talking about fighting black goo aliens versions of Venom.
I fought an alien made out of black goo once.
Oh, no way. I fought an alien too.
Oh.
Yeah, he was purple.
I want to fight an alien.
You can let me know in the comments, do you actually think that Andrew Garfield will come back to do something like that, or will they just find a completely new version of Spider-Man, or someone who will not take the mask off so they can just be ambiguous about which version of Spider-Man it is? It sounds like it will be a couple more years before they actually do work up to a genuine Sinister Six solo movie. Like, they'll build up to a new trilogy of Sinister Six movies, and that's probably where Tom Hardy's Venom character will go after Venom 3 if they don't do more Venom movies. Like, I don't know if they're going to do a Venom 4. The original Amazing Spider-Man 2 post-credit scene teasing that Sinister Six was actually meant to build up to a completely separate franchise. Like, they were going to make Amazing Spider-Man 3, set up sort of a symbiote saga, a Venom saga for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, but separately also do a spin-off trilogy for the Sinister Six. All those Sinister Six characters, that was not for Amazing Spider-Man 3. So it just sounds like Sony went back to the drawing board. They're like, okay, let's try that plan again. Let's do a Sinister Six trilogy, and that'll just be where we take some of the more popular characters after this. And if some of them aren't popular, we can just cycle in brand new characters. The funny thing about Sony still having the rights to Spider-Man is that a part of those, they have the rights to over 900 characters, but even without crossing the characters over in Secret Wars with all the MCU characters like Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which they're already in the process of doing, they could still do their own version of an Avengers Infinity War and an Avengers Endgame event with like the Null character. There's so much more lore and canon from the comics that they can do that they can continue to escalate for many, many years before they have to do some sort of reboot or reimagining again. Let me know in the comments, though, if they do work up to a Sinister Six spin-off franchise and that does get a trilogy, what else do you want them to do with the characters? Which other characters do you want to see during that? The good news is, it does sound like, based on all the footage from CinemaCon, the Kraven movie actually does have a legit chance of being pretty decent. Everyone click here for my Kraven the Hunter trailer video to learn what's going on with that movie, and click here for my brand new Secret Invasion trailer video and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.